Harlequin Audio is proud to bring you Between Friends by Debbie Macomber, performed by Amy Tallmadge. 1948. Judge and Mrs. Leonard Lawton, 2330 Country Club Lane, Pine Ridge, Washington, joyfully announced the long-awaited birth of their daughter, Jillian Lynn Lawton, on January 15th, 1948. 6 pounds, 3 ounces, 19 inches. Pine Ridge Herald, born September 1st, 1948. Adams, Mr. and Mrs. Charles, 112 Folsom Avenue, boy. Adamski, Mr. and Mrs. Michael, 220 Railroad Avenue, girl. Burns, Mr. and Mrs. Harold, 456 North 3rd Street, boy. Franklin, Mr. and Mrs. Oscar, 33 Main Street, boy. Johnson, Mr. and Mrs. Gary, 743 Weeping Willow Lane, girl. Lamb, Mr. and Mrs. Dolphus, 809 South 8th Avenue, boy. September 10th, 1948. 220 Railroad Avenue, Pine Ridge, Washington. Dearest Mama, I thought you should know Mike and I had a baby girl on September 1st. I realized Daddy said I wasn't to contact either of you ever again, but I felt you'd want to know you had a granddaughter. We named her Lesley Louise, and she weighed 8 pounds. Lesley because it seems like such a pretty name, and Louise after you, Mama. Mike wasn't home to take me to the hospital, so Gertie Burkhart, who lives next door, drove me. My labor took almost 20 hours. I thought I was going to die. But all that pain was worth it the first time I got to hold my daughter. She's a beautiful baby, Mama. She has your nose and Mike's forehead, with soft wisps of blonde hair. I think her eyes are going to be blue. But the nurse told me we won't be able to tell until Lesley is 6 weeks old. I wonder what the future holds for my baby girl. Will she grow up to be smart and pretty? Will she have a chance to finish high school? Dare I dream that one day she'll go to college the way I always hoped I would? Mike says asking questions like that is a waste of time. Still, I can't help wondering if those were the same questions you had when I was born, Mama. Did you love me as much as I love my baby? I'm sure you did, and I can't believe you no longer love me now. Mike and I are doing all right. We live in Washington State. It seems so far away from Mississippi. We're renting a 2-story house, and Mike's uncle got him a job at the lumber mill. He's working lots of hours, and I've been putting a little bit aside every week for when the mill shuts down, which it seems to do on a regular basis. Unfortunately, Mike was so excited the night Lesley was born that he got drunk and was arrested. I had to use the money I'd saved to bail him out of jail. I miss you, Mama. I'm not any of those ugly names Daddy called me. If I don't hear from you, then I'll accept that you agree with Daddy and want nothing more to do with me. When I look at my baby, I don't think of the circumstances that led to her birth. What Mike and I did was a sin, but we're married now. Lesley is a beautiful child, created in the image of God. That's what Father Gilbert said a child is, and I believe him. I hope you'll love her despite everything. Your daughter, Dorothy. Mrs. Leonard Lawton, 2330 Country Club Lane, Pine Ridge, Washington, 98005. October 12th, 1948. Dearest Aunt Jill, I regret taking so long to answer your letter. After waiting 15 very long years for a child, one would assume I'd be better prepared for the demands of motherhood. I had no idea an infant would take up so much of my time and energy. I'm months behind on my correspondence and can only beg your indulgence. Jillian is truly our joy. As you know, Leonard and I had given up hope of ever having a child. We're both convinced her birth is a miracle, and we are so very grateful. I know how pleased you are that we named her after you. But you've been a mother to Leonard since his own dear mother's death. Without you, he wouldn't have any memories of her. Leonard is thrilled with his daughter. Every night he rushes home from court in order to spend time with her.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?